In fact, every single one of us is a hero, is a Wira. If you like what you're doing, and if you what you're doing helps yourself and others, that's being a hero. So everyone is a hero lah, actually. Malay to me is an individual from the Nusantara, and Singapore is actually part of the Nusantara, who speaks the Malay language, practice Malay customs, for example, wear Malay type dresses and eat Malay dishes, adopt values that are dear to the Malay community, which is actually similar to values from the religion of Islam. So a big criteria of being Malay is to be a Muslim living in the Nusantara. And I identify myself as a Malay, a Singaporean Malay of Arab descent. So although my grandparents originate from Yemen, I don't speak Arabic. My first language is actually Malay. The first language that I spoke is Malay, and I think culturally I'm Malay. Okay, my motto in life is to serve. In particular, as a Muslim, we want to serve Allah, but that is translated into serving our fellow humans the best that we can, because I go back to again Islam, and Islam gives me a purpose, and my purpose on this earth is to serve and to also be a Khalifa, or as stated in the Quran, meaning a leader. So that's why these days you must have heard the concept of servant leadership, which is actually very Islamic and part of being Malay, because as a Malay we are also Muslims, and as Muslim yang kita nak ialah kita sembah Allah dan berbakti kepada masyarakat, dan selain daripada menjadi hamba kepada Allah, kita juga pemimpin dalam masyarakat. I grew up in a large family of 7 siblings. We weren't well off, but from a very young age I've always wanted to be a doctor, because I thought by being a doctor is a good way of serving others. So Alhamdulillah, I finally managed to do medicine. It didn't come easy to me. For example, I didn't get into medical school straight after my A-levels, Initially, I studied science because I couldn't get into medicine in Singapore, and I worked as a teacher after that. And later on, my dream of becoming a doctor is still there, so I decided to migrate to Australia. And after migrating to Australia, Alhamdulillah, I managed to get into medical school at Sydney University. So I completed my studies and I worked in Australia for a few years. Then after a while, I start to miss my mother and nasi lemak. And therefore I said, that's it, it's time to return to Singapore. So after I worked in Sydney and Melbourne for a few years, in 1998 I returned to Singapore. Alhamdulillah, in Singapore, apart from working as a doctor, I had plenty of opportunities to serve. An example is serving as part of the MUIS medical team, helping pilgrims. So I'm very, very privileged, because I had the chance to do this 12 times. Imagine going to Hajj 12 times. Tak payah bayar pun. But that's because as a volunteer, although you volunteer your service as a doctor, you're very privileged because you get the chance to go Hajj. The other thing that happened to me is Club Heal. Why did I start Club Heal? Partly is in response to my experience of mental illness, in particular my family members and my relatives. I find out that, as a caregiver to my own family member, I didn't do too well. So so I told myself, as a doctor, you didn't manage well your own family member with mental illness, what more the lay public? Also, at one stage in my life, I thought I wanted to become a psychiatrist, so I worked at IMH back in 2008. And then, itu menjadi satu pembuka mata. I realized people with mental illness, they need a lot of family support. It's not just about taking medicine, because if it's that simple, then we don't need organizations like Club Heal. It's not that simple, because the problem with mental illness is there's still a lot of stigma, and therefore people with mental illness, sometimes they don't want to take their medications, and then they don't follow up, and then they end up becoming unwell again. So I feel there's a need to serve the community, in particular to not only to help people with mental illness recover, not only to educate the family members about mental illness and how to become better caregivers, but also to educate society about mental illness in general, to remove the stigma against mental illness, because this way people will seek help early when they fall ill. They don't wait until they're dah sudah chronic, or because illness, when you leave it too long, it becomes harder and harder to treat. So in 2012, with a group of like-minded people, some of my good friends, we started Club Heal. And we especially wanted to target the Malay Muslim community, because there's no Malay Muslim organization doing that. So we formed Club Heal, and then we started services. We did start giving talks, doing home visits, giving counseling to people with mental illness as well as their caregivers, and we even started a rehab center, and that was at Masjid Al-Khair. So we had a lot of support from various people. In particular, we are very fortunate to have the support of Madam Halimah Yaakob. Puan Halimah Yaakob, at that time, she was Minister of State for MSF, Minister of Social Family Development, but she's also the MP for Bukit Batok East. So I requested for her to become our patron, and she readily accepted. And then after that, she helped us get our own premises at Bukit Batok East. She gave a lot of support. She helped us initially with the funding, because baru mula kita tak ada duit. And in fact, later on when she became the MP at Marsiling, she gave us another premises, lagi satu tempat dekat Marsiling. Alhamdulillah. So where I'm sitting now is our Marsiling punya cawangan lah. So my life story. So Alhamdulillah, Club Heal grew. So we got more funding, we got government support, and then we are able to employ more counsellors, even mental health nurse. We are able to branch into the elderly, help people with dementia and the caregivers. Alhamdulillah. I think, if you have a a mission and a vision, misi dan visi, and sincerely you really want to help the community, things happen. Help comes from places that you don't even expect to happen, but it just happens. I must say, yang tolong Club Hill bukan saja daripada kalangan Melayu Islam, tetapi juga kita punya rakan-rakan daripada badan-badan kebajikan yang dijalankan oleh orang bukan Melayu, orang bukan Islam. So in fact, for example, one of our advisors is Dr. Joseph Leong. He's a psychiatrist at IMH. He's actually my mentor. When I worked at IMH back in 2008, he was my supervisor. So when I wanted to start the Club Hill, I went to him to ask for advice. And he gave me so many important pointers. Radiah, you should start small. Start with a day center first. Ask Madam Halimah to be your patron. Learn from other organizations. Alhamdulillah, Dr. Joseph Leong is not a Muslim and he's not a Malay, but he's a fellow Singaporean who share the same feelings when it comes to people mental illness. He's been a mental health advocate for a long time, so he's no ordinary psychiatrist. Dia bukan cuma jaga pesakit, tapi dia betul-betul nak memperkasakan masyarakat dan para penjaga supaya stigma tentang sakit mental ni boleh stigma can be eradicated lah. So without stigma, people will come forward and seek help earlier. The thing about the Malay community is in general, most Malay people, they are generous, they are gentle, berbudi bahasa, friendly, and I think these attributes are there partly because they're Muslims. Malays are fortunate lah, because in general lah, if you say Malay tu Islam lah, right? I mean, if you talk about Chinese or Indian, it can be different religion. But Melayu tu karakter Islam tu ada tau dalam the character of a Malay. So I think in terms of character, I would say admirable. I mean, I don't want to stereotype the negatives, but I want to push forward the positives about being Malay. Sometimes negatives, stereotypes actually is not true, sometimes due to circumstances, but in general, if you ask me, I give you an example lah. Pernah satu hari a taxi driver, saya naik taxi, he's a Chinese guy, but he tell me he's happy when a Malay stop his cab. I say, why? I think Malays are my favorite passengers. They, in general, he say, they're not demanding, they're not calculative, they're polite and friendly. This is kata-kata puji from a Chinese taxi driver. So this was quite some time back lah. And I'd like to think that this characteristic of orang Melayu is still there lah. And I think very important that we preserve these characteristics. I mean, people say negative things about Malay, but character-wise, I think that's what Malays can be proud of lah. I think, Alhamdulillah, success to me is about being happy. What I do, I like. For example, I wanted to be a doctor, right? It's something that nobody forced upon me. My parents never encouraged. They never pressure me to be anything, but they let me explore what it is that I want. But when I shared with them that this is what I want, of course then they're encouraging lah. Tapi tak ada orang paksa pun. So to be successful in what we do, we must believe in it, we must like it. So we must be interested in it. So minat, bila ada minat dan kesungguhan, then tak penat tau. Tak rasa penat pasal suka. I think this is why I'm successful. I actually like what I'm doing. I enjoy it. So I wake up in the morning looking forward. This is another new day. Alhamdulillah, I'm still alive. I can carry on doing what I love doing, which is I love to be a doctor and I love to volunteer for Club Hill. I don't know that I deserve this, you know, because Wira tu apa? Pejuang. Is it? Something like that. Wira tu hero, like soldier like that lah. Pejuang. I guess orang calonkan saya, so then orang pilih saya, so saya syukur aja lah, you know. Okay lah, thank you very much. I'm not sure that I deserve it. I'm sure there's a lot of others in the community who deserve it. In fact, every single one of us is a hero, is a Wira. If you like what you're doing, and if you what you're doing helps yourself and others, that's being a hero. So everyone is a hero lah actually. But of course as a Muslim, kita punya hero number one is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, Nabi Muhammad. So apalah kita kalau kita bandingkan diri kita dengan Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, para sahabat Nabi dan you know, orang zaman dulu lah. Zaman sekarang senang lah. Right, compared to in the past, you know. So tapi I guess I just want to say I'm bersyukur, but not sure that I deserve it. But I believe anyone can be a hero or a Wira if they believe in what they're doing, and what they're doing benefits themselves and others. Yes, I would like to dedicate this award to people with mental health challenges. The community may not know, but when you have a mental health challenge, you need to be strong and resilient to be able to cope with such a challenge. You know, if you compare mental and physical, I think mental can be even more challenging than physical, you know. Especially in this modern era, digital era. Digital era kadang-kadang susah juga tau nak dapat genuine friends. Friends semua is through WhatsApp and Facebook, you know, there's less human contact. And because of there's less human contact, there's less communication between humans. So people fall ill, you know. People fall ill. People, they feel isolated sometimes, and then they feel that, you know, they communicate, but maybe not as well as people orang zaman dulu tau, orang zaman sekarang, because of the environment that they're in. So I really want to dedicate it to all those mental health people who are challenged in that way, who believe in themselves and believe in recovery. That's what Club Hill is about. We're about recovery journeys, not illness journey, but recovery journeys, because we believe that every single person can actually successfully recover and reintegrate back into the community. I think number one, betulkan niat, kena ikhlas. So because if you do it for the sake of Allah, tak payah orang puji, tak payah diiktiraf, the energy is there, you know. Every day you want to get up and do what it is that you want to do, you know. So betulkan niat, ikhlas dan usaha, dan don't give up. You know, because help is available. If your niat betul, if your usaha betul, betulkan niat, betulkan usaha, nanti kita akan dapat sokongan daripada masyarakat. Bila kita dapat sokongan daripada masyarakat, kita akan berjaya. So kita kena yakin, we must believe, yakin dengan apa yang kita nak capai lah. Sama ada pencapaian tu untuk diri sendiri atau untuk membantu orang lain. Kena yakin. Saya ni nanti macam tape rosak lah. To be the best at anything that you want to do, number one, keikhlasan. Yeah, when you are ikhlas, you do something with passion and you don't feel tired, you know, and then you just become your best because you're motivated. You know, but if you do because other people tell you to do, or you want to show off or something like that, then buat kerana dunia tu tak berbaloi lah. Jadi pucuk pangkalnya kena keikhlasan lah. Itu yang buat seseorang tu berjaya. Saya rasa. But having said that, aku ni saya sendiri bukan, it's not so much I'm ikhlas all the time. Memang sometimes ada perasaan bangga and all that. Can be helped lah, pasal kita manusia kan. So another thing is kita mesti boleh maafkan diri kita tau. Because sometimes kita akan jatuh, kita akan sedih, kita akan murung, ataupun orang, kita kena kritikan orang. So we must be able to take criticism, but at the same time we must be kind to ourselves, you know. And don't feel down when things don't go as you want them to be. Yeah. My wish for the Malay community is to continue to be successful lah. Success dunia akhirat, you know. But number one, Malay community must remember to retain that good values and the good character of the Malays. So which is ciri-ciri dan nilai-nilai yang kita dapat daripada identiti kita sebagai Melayu Islam. Jadi daripada agama Islam itu memberikan kita identiti ataupun nilai-nilai yang jitulah, yang sangat membantu, yang akan membawa kita kepada sukses. So jangan lupa siapa kita. Saya Melayu, saya Muslim. Itu nombor satu. Melayu Singapura cukup untung. Alhamdulillah, you know, kita born in Singapore, ada banyak peluang untuk kita menaik tarafkan diri kita dan berbakti kepada masyarakat. So saya syukur saya ni dilahirkan sebagai Melayu Singapura.